Good evening and welcome to the Job Search Solution, the radio program where we talk about looking for a job, changing jobs, changing careers, hiring. And as always, we begin with a prayer. Dear God, grant us thy peace and thy mercy, thy will be done. And in just a few minutes, Rich Avinci is going to be with us talking about consultants in the workplace. He's got a great topic this evening, always from in the trenches. Rich has always done a lot of research and has some brilliant ideas about what's going on in the marketplace. Lately, we've been taking 10 seconds to be grateful. So I want you to think of 3 things to be grateful for that today that you should be grateful for. So go, 10 seconds of being grateful. You can't be unhappy when you're grateful. Just being grateful. It brings peace to your soul. Being grateful. I want to bring up, we've been talking about myths lately, but I wanted to bring up something about a lesson in interviewing that was pretty much of a nationwide thing the other evening. And it was done by our Vice President of the United States. And she was in an interview, and you can take all of these things for interviews of the, for a job. And she was asked in this interview for a job, a question of, did you make any mistakes? If you had to do again, is there anything you would do differently? Her answer was very instructive on those of you that are in the interviewing process. Because her answer was, no, I wouldn't do anything any differently than I did. That's a wrong answer. That's a bad answer. Any hiring authority in their right mind knows that you, if you're a human being, made mistakes along the way. And if you're ever asked in an interview, which a lot of times you're going to be asked, have you made any mistakes? If you had it to do again, would you do it differently? You've got to say, of course I would. Yeah, there were some things that I really botched, that we really did wrong. And looking back on it, we really messed up. And if we had to do again, we would do it differently. And then if the hiring authority has any brains, he's going to say, what were those? In this case, you're going to say something like, well, the way we got out of Afghanistan was surely not smart. Anybody in their right mind knows that. This is not political at all. It's merely making a business observation. Any business person that would have exited anything, any place, like we exited Afghanistan, would have been fired. That was just a mistake. You can't, nobody in their right mind is ever going to be able to sit there and say, that was a good idea. That was the way we did it. Oh, yeah, it was great. You know that it wasn't. So admit it was a mistake. And if I had it to do again, I'd do it differently. Who's going to argue with you? See, that's the thing. That's everybody makes mistakes. It's like a mistake on your resume. There are mistakes that you might have made in your career where you went to work for a situation that wasn't a good one. That one was a mistake. If I had it to do again, I wouldn't have done it that way. I wouldn't do that. That's a mistake. That was just a mistake. Everybody's entitled to a bunch of mistakes. Now, if you're dumb enough, well, I shouldn't say that. If you make 5 mistakes in a row in your career, then somebody's probably not going to really want to hire you. But one or two mistakes along the way in a 20-year career, for instance, is a reasonable thing. If I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have done that. But to say, looking back on it, no, there weren't any mistakes. I had done everything just like I did before. No, no. You look like a doofus when you say something like that. Now, you better pick out one or two things that were mistakes, and you better say why they were mistakes. And you better even say, if I had it to do again, this is what I would have done. And this is what I learned. And this is how that learning carried over into other things that we did. That's brilliant. A wise person learns by their mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. In fact, you make lots of mistakes, tons of mistakes. But to say that you go through any period of time, a day, without making mistakes, and you wouldn't do it again, is nobody believes you. People think you're foolish because they look in the mirror and they know better than that. And nobody, I mean, even the saints made mistakes. That's why they're saints. We all make mistakes. So admit you make mistakes. Now, don't beat yourself up about it. Don't spend a whole hour of interviewing talking about all your mistakes and enumerating them ad infinitum. That's not smart either. But admit your mistakes, admit what you do, how you do it differently. But everybody makes them, so admit it. All right, we're going to take a short break. Stay tuned. This is Tony Bashir with the Job Search Solution.